Welcome. I need a little bit of help in the audience here, Peter. I'm singling you out. Can I have your bulletin? Can I? It'd be great. I can't reach that far. My arms are long. They're not that long. Thanks. Awesome. Welcome, Mosaic. My name's Shannon. I'm a pastor here. We are thrilled to have you guys out here this morning. If you're wondering what's going on in Mosaic, how can I connect? We got lots of tools, lots of ways to help you do that. There's welcome table out here. You got the website, you got the church app, you have something called the city, which I won't explain, but if you look on here, all of those things are explained in detail. There is also a tear-out class that you can go to. I want you to grab your bulletin, particularly if you're new, or if you're not new and you just want to humor me because you love me, because we're family. Grab this. You got your tear-off flap ready? We're going to do this together. It's going to be exciting. All right? 1, 2, 2.5, 3. Okay, there you go. So this is, if you're new, or if you have questions, if you have comments, if you're wondering about something, you're wanting to volunteer, fill this thing out so that we can know who you are, so we can know how to love and serve you better, help you get connected. This morning we're kicking off a new series leading up to Christmas called Welcome to the Family. We'll look at the first 2 chapters of the Gospel of Matthew where we see Jesus, the God of the universe, inviting himself into our family, becoming a man so that he can join our family of humanity, and he is doing that so that we can ultimately be adopted into his family, the family of God. All right, so the series is Welcome to the Family. We're talking all about family. Before we get to the meat of the message, I just want to say welcome to the family. Because I know many of you are new, and I know a lot of you, you're not new. You've been around. Some of you have been around since the day we opened this church, and you are family. All right? And we love you. We know what's wrong with you. We spent enough time together. I've annoyed you, you've annoyed me. We've done that together. We've irritated each other, warts and all. We know each other for better, for worse, but we love each other because we're family. But God has been moving in an awesome way lately, and we've been seeing more and more new people coming into the family. So you'll see me out in the lobby. If you're new, I really work hard, and a lot of other people do it, at getting to know your name, figuring out who you are. If you're new, we want to love you. We want to get to know you. All right, so some people call me a stalker. It may be true, whatever. Sunday afternoon, what I do is I go home and I make a list of everyone I can think of that I met that was new to the church. So I have people that I can pray for, and so I can try to remember your name so that next week, hey, maybe I can talk to you, maybe I can greet you by name because we want to welcome you into the family. So this last fall, God has been moving in a pretty incredible way, and we have seen nearly 200 people walk through the doors of Mosaic for the first time. My informal count is up somewhere around 185. I haven't done the total just lately. Okay? It's awesome. People are coming in, and maybe half of those guys, they're coming in, they're kicking the tires once, they're saying, no, the donut wasn't great. I mean, the sermon was amazing, but the donuts weren't as good as another church, so I'm going to keep looking. Maybe a quarter, 40 to 50 of those individuals, you're among them. You come back again, you're still kicking tires. This connection card thing that I'm talking about, you don't want to fill that out. That would be a little bit too much too soon, a little bit too personal, a little bit too risky. You don't want to put yourself out there. But you're starting to kind of like the church, and you're getting to know some people in the family, and you're like, who knows, maybe this could be my family. And then we've got another 40 or 50 people here just this fall who've walked in the door of the church for the first time this fall. And they just settled in. You know what? I love this place. I'm going to make this my family. Amen? Amen. All right. It's amazing. It's awesome. We are thrilled to see so many new people coming into the family. We're excited about it. What does it look like to become a part of the family? What does it take to become a part of the family? It doesn't take much. We're just a dysfunctional mess of disheveled people. Come on in. You don't have to perform. We talked about that last week. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to dress up. I told you last week, this is as dressy as I get. Last week I made a comment about Argyle socks and getting those from Grandma and not liking them, but I realized when I was a kid, I don't think Argyle was in style. It certainly wasn't in style in the playground, but now it's back in style. So I got my Argyle socks here for you today. Good to be a part of the family, but some people, I know that you're struggling to get connected to the family. You're coming in, you like the church. What does it look like to get connected here? So I just want to talk for a second about how we could help you begin to get connected to the family. I know some of you are coming in, you're wrestling with the gospel. Who is Jesus? What do I do with Jesus? what does Jesus want to do with me? And that's great. We want to help you with that. We want to engage with you on that. We want to talk. We'll offer classes. We'll offer groups. We'll get with you one-on-one and talk about this thing. Some of you, you're finding ways to connect into a group, or you're finding opportunities to serve. Maybe after the service today, you're planning on checking out the human trafficking event. Or maybe you weren't planning on it. You're like, really? I can do that? Oh, that'd be great. I don't know how the food works. Whoever's organizing that, if I'm stepping on your toes, I will buy you pizza personally. Whatever we need. We love you to come out. We love you to get connected. Many of you, again, I'm not sure I can take that step. It's intimidating. I don't know that I have the time. I don't know that I want to take this socially awkward risk to try to get connected to this family. But I want to challenge you that if this is ever going to feel like a family, we're going to try to initiate with you, but you're going to need to do some initiating back. You're going to need to seek out community. You're going to need to find a place to serve. All right? Because that's what it takes to be a part of the family. Last night I posted something on the city. Again, you can figure out what that is on your bulletin. It's this tool. It's this website thing that we have. If the main website is the front door of the church, this is the living room. This is the kitchen. This is where the family hangs out, get to know each other, ask questions, interact, communicate, whatever. Connect, collaborate, and grow as a community on mission is how we build it. All right, but I posted something on there last night. It's a video by a guy named Mark Driscoll, a guy that I like, a pastor out in Seattle, and he's talking about why doesn't church feel like family? And the gist of it is that often we approach church as consumers, so instead of coming into the church and trying to treat it like a family, we treat it like a restaurant. He says, what's the difference between a family dinner and a restaurant? Well, at a restaurant, you come in and you sit down and people wait on you and they do things for you and you don't do anything. You just kind of sit back, and if it doesn't go well, you complain. My burger's overcooked, my fries are a bit soggy. If I go to McDonald's and they have not put enough salt on the fries, I won't complain to management, but I'll tell the person next to me, these fries don't have enough salt. And you'll say, well, you can just add salt, dummy. No. If you add the salt at the right time, while they're still hot, while they're still extra greasy and wet, it sticks differently. It's better. So you go to a restaurant, you complain about that. You do that at home, Dad's going to take you out back and you're going to have words. All right? You don't do that in a family. When you show up and you say, this is a family, you say, okay, I'm here, I'm part of the family, how can I serve? What can I help with? How can I give? How can you get me plugged in? I need a job, I'm a part of this family, I got responsibilities, okay? We're part of the family. So I want to personally beg you guys, look for a group and look for an opportunity to serve. If you're a college student, look for an intergenerational connection point. So your entire Christian life or life in general isn't wrapped around people in your own narrow demographic. And I want to challenge you to serve, not because we need people to serve. In a certain sense, we don't need people to serve. In a certain sense, we do. Okay, we could use another bass player. If you're a bass player, great. We could use a few more volunteers in the children's ministry. We could use some guys that set up the care down. Here's the deal. If you hear that, you say, oh, the church has a need. And if I don't meet this need, the church is going to stop. I feel really guilty. I don't want to, but I'm going to begrudgingly serve because the church has a need and the pastor guilted me into it. That's not what I'm going for here. We don't have that sort of need. If you hear about the need and you say, you know what, I'm not here to meet the need, church will continue. We'll be just fine. We don't particularly need you to step up to the plate. But I would say you need you to step up to the plate. There's a limitation on how you can grow in your relationship with Jesus if you don't grow in relationship with His church. The Bible refers to the church as not just as a family, but as the bride of Jesus Christ. The local church is a local expression of that. So if you want to fall deeper in love with Jesus, you need to fall in love with His church. You need to figure that out. So for your benefit, sincerely, I want to ask you to serve. I want to ask you to connect. I want to ask you to become a part of the family and to connect with this family because we're family. So this morning, again, we're kicking off a new series called Welcome to the Family. First two chapters in Matthew, seeing Jesus, who is God, becoming a man and inviting Himself into our family, the family of humanity, so that we could ultimately be invited into His family, the family of God. So in this family, God is our Father, Jesus is our big brother, and you and I were invited to become brothers and sisters not only of each other, but of our big brother Jesus. And what we're going to see today, and what you've seen if you've begun to become a part of this family, is that the people of God always have been, the people of God continue to be one big, messy, dysfunctional family. We're going to get into the text, and if there is nothing else clear in the passage we're looking at, it's that Jesus comes from a very dysfunctional family, filled with absolutely shameful sinners. All right? And there is this pressure in many of our families to say, we want to put up a good face, and we don't want people to know about the dysfunction in our family. We talked about it last week, this pressure to pretend in church. All right? So mom and dad can have this huge fight on the way to church, but the minute we pull into the church parking lot and we put that car in park, kids, it is time to smile. Little girl, I don't care that you're crying because daddy was shouting at mommy, get over it. It's Sunday morning, put on your Sunday best smile, we need to pretend. All right? That's goofy. What we see in Scripture is the freedom to admit, you know what, I'm pretty messed up. I've noticed all of you are pretty messed up. Okay? We are a dysfunctional family full of dysfunctional individuals. And usually we tuck that under the rug, Don't talk about Uncle Jim. Nobody needs to know about Uncle Jim. In my family, Grandpa Jensen, I'll tell you the story later. Messed up. Very, very messed up. Not my grandpa, my dad's grandpa. It's distant from me, but messed up. We're part of a dysfunctional family. But we see that unlike many of us, Jesus isn't afraid to air his dirty laundry. Whether it be his family tree or whether it be us, he's happy to admit that we are a part of his dysfunctional family. He's totally cool with that. He's fine with that. He's fine with the fact that we live shameful, messed up lives because Jesus has covered our shame and Jesus has broken ours. So we see in Hebrews chapter 2, verse 11, it says, both the one who makes people holy, that's Jesus, and those who are made holy, that's you and me, are of the same family. So Jesus is not ashamed to call them brothers. Jesus says, we're a family, so welcome to the family. And Jesus is not above associating with his shameful family because Jesus has a solution to our shame. God the Father, through faith in Jesus Christ, has adopted us into this family. He's covered our sin. He has atoned for our sin. He has paid the penalty for our sin so that we can put our sin on the back burner. We can take our sin and we can give it to Jesus, and he can give us his righteousness, and he can say, welcome to the family. So this morning, kicking off the beginning of the book of Matthew, and it's a genealogy. Some of you aren't excited about that. We'll get to that in a minute, but first let's just read it through. We'll highlight a few individuals, we'll come back to them later. Matthew 1:1, a record of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac, Isaac the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers, Judah the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar. She's important. Perez, the father of Hezron, Hezron the father of Ram, Ram the father of Amminadab. I really like the name Ram. We have another kid, that's up for consideration. Don't tell me that's. Amminadab, the father of Nahshon, Nahshon the father of Salmon, Salmon the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab, another key character. Boaz, the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. We'll come back to her as well. Obed, the father of Jesse, and Jesse, the father of King David. David was the father of Solomon, whose mother had been Uriah's wife. It is what it sounds like. Solomon was the father of Rehoboam, Rehoboam the father of Abijah, Abijah the father of Asa, Asa the father of Jehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat the father of Jehoram, Jehoram the father of Uzziah, Uzziah the father of Jotham, Jotham the father of Ahaz, Ahaz the father of Hezekiah, Hezekiah the father of Manasseh. I feel like an auctioneer here. Manasseh the father of Amon, Amon the father of Josiah, and Josiah the father of Jeconiah and his brothers at the time of the exile of Babylon. After the exile of Babylon, Jeconiah was the father of Shealtiel, Shealtiel the father of Zerubbabel, Zerubbabel the father of Abiud, Abiud the father of Eliakim, Eliakim the father of Azar, Azar the father of Zadok, Zadok the father of Achim, Achim the father of Eliud, Eliud the father of Eleazar, Eleazar the father of Mathan, Mathan the father of Jacob, and Jacob the father of Joseph, husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ. Whew. Thus there were 14 generations in all, from Abraham to David. 14 from David to the exile of Babylon, and 14 from the exile to Christ. All right. Toughest part of the sermon, you survived, you're doing it. All right. If you want to learn to read all of those names and pronounce them correctly, 4 years of seminary will not help. read your Bible. Come up with what you want to call it. You'll get together with your friends. They'll pronounce it differently. You'll look down on them because they don't know what you know about pronouncing because you've read it 4 times. You have to be right how you've read it. And then we'll all repent and it'll be fine. All right, so this is one of those places in the Bible that you get to that your reading plan, and it happens to be page 1 of the New Testament, so it comes early in your Bible reading plan, whatever your Bible reading plan is, and you get to it, and a lot of you skip it, or at best you skim it. How many do that? Come on, raise your hand higher. We're family. All right. Oh, Timo, I'm disappointed. I thought that earlier. We can't edit that from that's preserved forever. Sorry. So a lot of people are like that. I'm not like that. I've got this guilty conscience. Maybe I'm not getting the gospel enough. So when I'm reading partway through, I get halfway through, short attention span, I kind of zone out, start thinking about other grocery lists or whatever. And so then I go back to the beginning and I read it again because I feel like I should be comprehending what I'm reading in the Bible. But it's one of these things that we come up and we say, why in the world is this here? Talking to my son Luke this morning. Last year was the first annual Manhood Weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. Friday, Saturday, getting together, talking about what it means to be a man, having some good times together. This year it will be the 2nd annual Manhood Weekend. We're keeping this going. It's really good to be annual. So he told me this morning, Dad, I'm so excited you're not preaching next week and that we get to go on Manhood Weekend. I said, Luke, I am excited too, but I think I'm even more excited, not that I'm not preaching next week, but that I get to preach this morning. He's like, oh yeah, what are you preaching on? I said, the genealogy of Jesus. He said, what's a genealogy? I said, it's that long list of names at the beginning of the book of Matthew. He said, I don't really know why that's there. I don't think that should be there. I don't get why that's in the Bible. So we've got some education to do around inspiration and the very Word of God and all of that stuff. But that was his honest take. And I told him, oh man, you need to listen to my sermon, Luke. It's great. I love this. I'm so excited to preach it. And then I went off, I did my thing. 5 minutes later, I circled back around, and Luke says, yeah, I still don't think that should be in the Bible. So if you're feeling that, Luke is feeling it with you, and you're both wrong. God, why did you put this here? We're looking to answer that question. All right. A little bit of kind of prefacey stuff up front and talking about the genealogies, how this stuff fits together, kind of getting into the first verse of it. Then we'll look at a few key individuals along the way. Dozens of reasons that God put this list together the way that he did. Every person in here has a story, has a legacy. There's lots of lessons that we can learn from their life and their faith and their lack of faith. The Bible tells us a ton about most of the people on this list, particularly the first 2/3 of the list. We see in verse 1, where Matthew lays out the preface that there's certain individuals that are really important in this list. It says a record of the genealogy of Jesus Christ. Kind of most important one in the list, okay? So Jesus the Christ, Jesus the Messiah, Jesus the anointed one. It refers to a king. It's they would anoint his head with oil when they made him a king. So Jesus, the promised, long prophesied, coming king of Israel. All right? A record of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David. So he's the king who's going to come in the line of David. That's the king we're expecting. He's going to reign on David's throne forever. That's what's promised. And the son of Abraham. Abraham being the father of all the Jews, the one whom so many promises were made. So part of the beauty of this genealogy is that we see the faithfulness of God to deliver on thousands of promises that he started making over 6,000 years ago. Some of you aren't really excited about that, but that's one of the cool things in here. Okay, so we get that answer, but we also get a lot more questions. If you've read your Bible much, or if you're going through its holiday season, hey, let's read Matthew's account. Hey, let's read Luke's account. Let's read the genealogies. Most of us skip the genealogies, so we never notice. But if you read them closely, you read them and you figure out these are very different genealogies. What in the world is going on here? Well, there's a few things going on. First difference is the genealogies start with a different guy. Luke's genealogy starts with Adam. Matthew saw no need to go back to Adam. He went back to Abraham. Why? Because Abraham is the father of the Jews, and Matthew is writing to Jews. And Jews, they don't care about anybody who's not a Jew, at least in that day. I'm not making any claims about anybody today. Not anti-Semitic. Jesus was a Jew. We like Jews. All right? But Matthew was writing to an audience that was incredibly proud and religiously self-righteous. He's writing to first century Jews. People who don't really care about anyone who's not Jewish. They call those people Gentiles, literally the nations, the rest of the world. The people who don't keep the rules that we keep, who don't know the stuff that we know, who are not heirs to the promises that we have. Those people stink, and we are the people. They are the other people, the nations, the people outcast out there. So at that time, Jews hated Gentiles. Likewise, they didn't have a really high opinion of women. But we see in here that not only is Matthew throwing in a bunch of Gentiles, he's throwing in women. All right, so we got these 4 women we're going to talk about later. All of them are Gentiles, and all of them are women. Again, we like women. Back in the day, they weren't so keen on women. But they're throwing these women in there. And the women that they're throwing in there are mostly very shameful, messed up women, and they highlight the shamefulness of the men with whom they were associated. So again, we see Jesus airing his dirty laundry in a way that these Jews didn't want to see. Because so much of their identity was wrapped up in the fact that we are Jews. We are the children of Abraham. We have a legacy. We're the people. And Matthew is going through and he's speaking their language a little bit. He's starting, hey, let's not even talk about anyone before Abraham because they don't count. But I'm going to show you that your family is dysfunctional. Your family is messed up. And you know what? These ancestors of yours that you worship, you might be just as messed up as them. And there is an opportunity for you to be humble. Second big difference that we see in the genealogies, one, father and ancestor, they mean the same thing. Son and descendant, they're used interchangeably. All right, one word for both. So, in both of the genealogies, they're skipping people. All right, Matthew, he wants pairs of 14, or groups of 14. Okay, you skip some people to get that. So you get some differences that way, but if you read them more closely, they're simply different genealogies. Why? Well, most scholars figure it's because Matthew is tracing the genealogy of Joseph, through Joseph. Jesus through Joseph. The adopted father of Jesus. Luke, being a medical doctor and not a Jew, Jews used to trace it through the men, he's like, where is Jesus getting his human nature from? It's not from some guy, Joseph, an adopted father. It's through Mary. I'm going to trace it through Mary. All right? So you get, from David on down, you get a very different list because they're tracing a different genealogy. But in Matthew, see, we're going through an adopted father. Okay? Joseph is the adopted father of Jesus. Joseph took this child of a single mother in and adopted him and raised him and loved him as his son so that God the Father could adopt us and love us as his sons and daughters. All right? That's the parallelism that we see here. And Matthew is going out of his way to emphasize adoption. As Christians, we love adoption because our God was adopted. All right? Because we are adopted. We have our standing because we're adopted. All right, lots of different academic questions like that we could go into. We want to spend the rest of our time just hitting a handful of people in the tree, digging into their lives, figuring out that these are not Boy Scouts, these are not Brownies, these are highly, highly dysfunctional people. So we find guys like Abraham. Abraham, the man of faith. Abraham, the father of the Jews. All right? As Christians, we point back to Abraham. We love Abraham. We celebrate Abraham. Jews celebrate Abraham. Muslims celebrate Abraham. Everyone wants to be associated with Abraham, the man of faith, who was also really, really messed up. Read through it. Kind of the middle of Genesis, you get the story of Abraham, and you find out that this guy, not on one but on 2 occasions, got himself in a bind because his wife was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So every time he walks into a big city where the little entourage and army that he has with him is not big enough to defend him, when he goes into a capital city of some kingdom, he gets freaked out. He gets nervous and he starts, I see how these men are looking at Sarah. Because she is gorgeous. And I don't even blame them for looking at her, but if they want her, they realize that they have to go through me because I'm her husband. So you know what I'm going to tell them? I'm going to say, Sarah, let's just do this ruse. Let's just do this lie. Let's just say that you're my sister. Because that way, instead of killing me to get you, they'll just come to me. They'll try to bribe me to get you. Notice that in this scenario that he does twice, Abraham saves his own skin. And what happens to his wife? of God's supernatural intervention to protect her because her husband, the man of faith, did not have enough faith or enough courage or enough decency to defend his wife. All right? Not a proud moment in the life of Abraham. It happens twice. He didn't even learn his mistake the first time. We get guys like Jacob. Jacob's name means trickster or liar. You read through his story, he lives up to the name. All right, eventually God changes his name. So many of the men in the line of Jesus, they are absolutely shameful, but what's really intriguing is the women. So we'll get to Mary next week. That's on the agenda. But I want to zoom in on 4 key women. We've got Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, and Bathsheba. Remember, this is the line of the coming king of Israel, the Jewish Messiah. But again, every one of these women in the list is a Gentile. And there's no reason to insert them in the list. It's a list of the men. You don't need to include these women who happen to be foreigners, who happen to be Gentiles, who happen to be outcasts, most of whom happen to have very messy, shameful lives. Why does he include them? Because God is a father who's willing to adopt anyone into his family. And Matthew wants us to get that. He wants us to understand that this thing of becoming part of the family of God, it is not merit-based. All right? God is willing to adopt absolutely anyone into his family. So he shows you some of the most messed up people that he can come up with in the family tree to help you get that. All right, verse 2. Abraham was the father of Isaac, Isaac the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers, Judah the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar. All right, so who is Tamar? First off, she's a Canaanite. She's a foreigner who in all likelihood worshipped a foreign god. Pagan, foreigner, outcast woman. Okay, strikes 1 and 2 there. Worse than that, pay attention to this. This is crazy. Tamar is Judah's daughter-in-law who posed as a prostitute in order to sleep with Judah, hoping to get him pregnant. It's in your notes, but you need to hear this again. Tamar is Judah's daughter-in-law who poses as a prostitute in order to sleep with Judah. Let that sink in. Some of you, you're coming to the church, you're like, I don't think I'd be accepted here. My family's so messed up. You don't know my upbringing. I was abused. If you have pain in your childhood, we don't want to write that off. We want to take that seriously. We want to help. If you need counseling, we want to help you with that. But never think that you can't come into the church because you or your family is too messed up. Maybe you're more messed up than this, but we have worse stuff coming. Okay? And this in itself is pretty messed up. Tamar is Judah's daughter-in-law who poses as a prostitute in order to sleep with Judah, hoping to get pregnant. She slept with her father-in-law. And he's chasing after her because he thought that she was a prostitute. What does that say about him? That night she actually was a prostitute. The irony of all of this is that Tamar isn't the bad guy in the story. She is not the villain in the story. Tamar is actually the victim in the story who is seeking justice from Judah. Go back in the story. It's Genesis 38. Read it this afternoon. What happens is that Tamar was the wife of Judah's firstborn. I think his name was All right? If I'm wrong, okay, grace me. So the Bible says that he was a very wicked man, so God struck him dead. Now, in that culture, women didn't have a lot of rights, they didn't have a lot of protection. Being a widow was not a good situation. So there was a custom, which later became a law, that if you were a widow, if your husband died, then one of his younger brothers would take you as a wife, take you into his family, that you would become his wife. I know it's not the arranged marriage that you're looking for. If you're in that situation, it's not what you want. But compared to being this outcast widowed woman with nobody to care for you, this was a pretty good solution. All right? First son, wicked, struck dead by God. Second son, does what he's supposed to do, and Judah's instruction does what he's supposed to do. He takes on his wife, but he was even more wicked. I won't get into it. You read into why he was wicked. It's pretty disturbing. He wants to take advantage of this woman in every way that you can imagine, but he doesn't want to actually give her a child. He doesn't want to provide for her. He doesn't want to care for her. He doesn't want to restore her dignity. He wants to use her. God strikes him then. And Judah, he's got 3 sons, and he's looking around saying, this is not going well. I know the right thing to do would be to give my 3rd son to her, but I don't want to lose my son. So forget it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to tell her I'm going to do it. I'm going to say, hey, just wait a little while. He's a little young. Let's let him get older. Let's wait a little while. Years go by, years go by, years go by, years go by. Until she's just getting old. She wants to have kids. She has a legal right that she isn't supposed to be a widow forever, and there's actually a guy who's supposed to be taking her on as a wife and providing for her and caring for her and loving her and raising a family with her. But Judah is saying no. Judah's getting in the way. So she says, you know what? I'm going to take this into my own hands. I'm going to trick Judah. I'm going to dress up as a prostitute, and I know what kind of man Judah is. I know he'll come after me. I'm going to let him get me pregnant, and then I'm going to spring this on him and let him know, hey, whose kid do you think it is? Okay, so this happens. She gets pregnant. Judah says, bring her out and burn her alive because she's a prostitute. That's what we do with prostitutes around here. We're not going to have that kind of sinner in this family. Oh, but she had an insurance plan. She had taken a token and pledge from him. So she brings it out. She says, hey, Judah, do you recognize who these pledges might have belonged to? Because this is the daddy. And he confesses. Judah recognized him, and he said, you know, she's more righteous than I, since I wouldn't give her to my son, Shelah. And he didn't sleep with her again. All right? Really, really messed up family. So we have this woman who's a foreigner, a liar, and a prostitute who's seducing her own father-in-law, and we have a man who freely admits that his character is even worse than hers. How's that for a start to the family tree? You know, it's Thanksgiving dinner. You're bringing, you know, your prospect, the girl that you hope to marry, home for the weekend to meet the parents. You gather around the Thanksgiving table. What do you talk about? Oh, let's get into the family tree. Let me tell you about my family. You're going to want to marry into this family. I don't think so. Verse 3. Judah, the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar. Perez, the father of Hezron, Hezron, the father of Ram, like that guy still. Ram, the father of Amminadab, Amminadab, the father of Nahshon, Nahshon, the father of Salmon, Salmon, the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. What do we know about Rahab? Well, we know that she's another foreigner. We know that she is also a prostitute. Popular vocation in the family tree, but she's not a part-time, one-time prostitute. She really does it for a living. Doesn't do that out in the country once in a while as needs be. She plies her trades on the streets of Jericho. Okay? That's who she is. Again, Rahab lies to get what she wants. But we also see in Joshua chapter 2, you want to read about Rahab, Joshua chapter 2, Joshua chapter 6 are the primary places. We read that despite her shameful past, Rahab, she turns from her foreign God. She places her faith in the living God. She risks her life to save the Israelite spies and worship the living God. What do we learn from that? We learn that even a despised foreigner and a prostitute, even as that, Rahab is welcome in the family of God by faith. All right? It's not, wow, you're really messed up. You're not welcome here. We need people who have it together. It's, wow, you're really messed up. You're going to fit in just great. We do have one rule around here. I mean, you want to join us for dinner, join us for small group, join us for donuts, whatever, welcome to the family. If you really want to be a part of the family, you need to place your faith in Jesus. You want to place your faith in Jesus? You want to surrender your life to Jesus? Welcome to the family. You're in. We don't care how messed up you are. Next up, we meet another woman named Ruth. Salmon, the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz, the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Another widow, another foreigner, this time a Moabite. Moab. The synonym of Moab. Moab means from father, from daddy. What's that all about? Go back somewhere in the teens in Genesis, maybe 19, I can't remember exactly where. You're dealing with a guy named Lot. Lot's the nephew of Abraham, so he's in the family, he's tight. Both of them are prosperous, both of them have so much blessing, so many cattle, so they need to spread out because they have so much livestock that they can't stay in the same place. Lot gets a choice, he says, you know what, I like this city over here. Sodom and Gomorrah, both of these cities. Sodom kind of looks like Vegas to me. And I know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I want to go live the city life. I'll go over here, Abraham, you go that way. Now, we don't know how righteous or unrighteous Lot was. We see some things in the story that are pretty shameful. We don't know if his entire life was shameful. But God decides he is going to destroy Sodom, where Lot's living. Abraham begs for Lot. He begs for the city, and he ultimately begs for Lot. God sends angels not just to destroy, but to get Lot and his family out. Lot's wife, she looks back, which she was commanded not to do. She's turned into a pillar of salt. Lot, seems like the world is ending. God has destroyed these cities, fire and brimstone. Truly? You know what I'm going to do? I'm scared. I'm going to go hide out in a cave in the mountains. I'm bringing my 2 daughters with me. Daughters, what are we doing? What's wrong with Hillbilly Dad? We're getting older here. We want to get married. We want to have kids, and we're holed up in a cave here. What's going on? So the 2 sisters, they start talking one night. They get together. Here's what I think we ought to do. We both want to be pregnant, right? We both want to have kids, right? Oh, yes, this is one thing I want in life. I know. Let's get Dad drunk. Maybe he could get us pregnant. Sound like a good idea? Hey, I'm game. If you're game, let's try it. All right, 2 nights in a row. This is what they do. This is the result that they have. 2 kids whose names are both essentially incest. One of them Moab. Name means from daddy. All right, Ruth, the Moabitess. Doesn't say in the text. You get it other places. Anytime Ruth is addressed, it's Ruth the Moabitess. That's where she's from. She's not just a foreigner. She's kind of the worst kind of foreigner. And that isn't even implied that Israelites hated the Moabites. They hated them because when Israel was coming into the land, Moab, these kind of distant cousins of the nation of Israel, they betrayed the nation of Israel. They tried to get the nation of Israel destroyed. So we see Moses writing in Deuteronomy, no Ammonite, that's Ammon and Moab, there were 2 kids out of Lot's relationships with his daughters. No Ammonite or Moabite or any of their descendants may enter the assembly of the Lord, not even to the 10th generation. It's one of the most condemning things that you see in the Bible. These guys are messed up. These guys will lead you into sin in a way that you don't want to have anything to do with. Don't have anything to do with these guys. If you don't understand how messed up their worship is, man, that's a messed up family. You want to come in, you can come in, but we're gonna leave this label on you to the 10th generation because we're trying to preserve the purity of our already messed up family. Moabites are the lowest of the low, but in Ruth we see another despised woman who risked her life to worship and serve the living God. Go to the story of Ruth. Amazing story, beautiful story. Got a sermon series years back going through Ruth. It's this story, this woman who's another widow. Her mother-in-law's widowed, she's widowed, her sister-in-law's widowed. She's a Moabite. She leaves Moab to go live in Israel, to go with her mother-in-law Naomi, to take care of her old, broken-down mother-in-law. She says, you know what, your people are going to be my people. Your God is going to be my God. I am going to worship the living God from now on, and I'm going to care for you. And then she delivers on her promise. I won't go into it. You see the story. Amazing woman. You meet this guy Boaz, the only, aside from Jesus, maybe Joseph and Mary, the only guys with a clean resume in here. We get this guy who's a kinsman redeemer. He's a near relative who's going to look out for the widow, who's going to take care of her, who's going to redeem her like Jesus redeems us. All right, Boaz, the father of Obed. His mother was Ruth. Obed, the father of Jesse. Jesse, the father of King David. David was the father of Solomon, whose mother had been Uriah's wife. Bathsheba isn't even named. Not to shun Bathsheba, but to be honest, here's why I put this in here. I put this in here because David, that you guys are so excited to associate with, isn't David amazing? I want you to remember the dark side of David. I want you to remember that whole incident, not with some woman named Bathsheba who, wonderful woman. Let's just call it like it is. I want you to remember when David slept with Uriah's wife. I understand that Bathsheba is not sleeping with David because she seduced him, but because he took her. We don't get any evidence that she was in on this thing or that she even wanted this. So we got David, the first great king. David, the king for whom the Christ would come. David, the songwriter. David, the worshiper. David, the man after God's own heart. And yet we also see David, the dirty old man, peering into Bathsheba's bathtub and then saying, I want her. David the adulterer, David the liar, David the murderer. So many great things to say about David, so many God-glorifying moments of faith. Why in the world would God the Holy Spirit go out of his way to remind us of the incident with Uriah's wife? Why include so much dirty laundry in the family tree? Because Matthew's deepest passion is that we would grasp the gospel. Matthew's passion is that his audience would understand what we understand. Last summer we worked through Matthew's chapter 8 and 9, just kind of verse by verse digging through that. In that we saw the calling of Matthew. We saw when Jesus came to Matthew and said, "Follow me," and Matthew came running to follow him. And Matthew, just like he does in the genealogy, Matthew, when he introduces himself, he goes to great pains to make it clear what a wicked, messed up, depraved man he was. That he was a tax collector, that he was a thief, that he was a liar, that he was a professional extortionist who preyed on his own people. He knew how messed up he was, and he wanted the whole world to know how messed up he was. He highlights it because he wants his audience to understand both in this passage and that passage their desperate need for Jesus. Matthew was hated, Matthew was despised, Matthew was disgraced, just like every woman that we meet in the story. But through Jesus, Matthew was restored. Matthew was adopted into the family of God. Not because he had his life together, not because he improved his behavior, but because he fell on his face before Jesus. Matthew wanted his fellow Jews to rest because he was writing to a very proud audience that naturally said, you know what, we're in. We've got the right pedigree, we've got the right genealogy, we've got the right family, we keep the rules, we're the good people, they're the bad people, we're in. And Matthew was going to great pains to help them understand, no, you are broken, you are needy, your family is broken, needy, and what you need is Jesus, what you need is the gospel. Some of you may be getting tired of the gospel. I have a buddy who planted a church in LA. He was telling me about a conversation he had early in the going of the church plant where a woman came in, not a Christian, came in, liked the church, got involved a little bit. After a few weeks, she came up after one of his messages and he says, I noticed that you have a formula for your sermons. It's like, what are you talking about? I'm just preaching the Bible, what are you thinking? What's my formula? And she said, sin is the problem and Jesus is the solution. It's like, oh, yeah, you're right, I got a formula. Didn't even know it. Why do we emphasize the gospel so much? Why do we do communion every week? We didn't always do communion every week. It's something we've been doing more often. Some people have asked about it. I just want to explain. We didn't do it every week originally because we didn't want it to become rote. We didn't want it to become mundane. We didn't want people to just go through emotion and not see the meaning of it. But the further we've gotten into this, the more we just wrestled with the reality that we only have one bullet. All we have is the gospel. Why do we preach the gospel every week? It's because it's the only bullet we've been given. If the Holy Spirit would give me a different bullet, I would put it in the gun and I would use it, but all we have is the gospel. All we have is the reality that we are broken and sinful and wretched, and Jesus is good and holy. And Jesus has come, he's become a man, he's lived a perfect life, he's died on the cross, he's paid the penalty for our sins so that we can be reconciled to him, by him, to him through faith. We celebrate communion as a remembrance of that. As a remembrance of the body of Christ broken for us, as the blood of Christ spilled for us, to celebrate our desperate dependence on Jesus. All right? Ask yourself, are you getting bored with the gospel? Are you getting tired of the gospel? Are you looking for something else? Maybe a little bit better than the gospel. And hey, maybe I can preach it better. That's fine. That's a different issue. Do you want something different than the gospel? What we see throughout Scripture, the reason that Matthew put this genealogy together the way he did was to drive us to the gospel. It's what he wants us to get. It's all that we got. Here's what I found. There's only one reason that I can see to get bored with the gospel. It's because I hear this message and I just don't fully grasp my need for it. I'm not saying you're not saved. I'm not saying you're not a Christian. I'm saying, are you gripped with your need for the gospel? If you're not demolished by your own depravity and your sin, then you hear the gospel like, yeah. Been there. But there's a different response to the gospel. There's what is desired in Scripture, what we see throughout church history, what's been emphasized by all Christian preachers everywhere, is our desperate need for Jesus. And so some of you come here every week. It's been good. A number of the people who've been newer to the church have been asking, what do you like about the church? They like a lot of different things. They mostly like you. You guys are amazing. But we'll talk about preaching. What do you like about the preaching? I like that you preach the gospel. That's a compliment that I can ever remember receiving about a sermon. Wasn't, wow, that was amazing. You really helped me into this. That was great. I was talking to a young lady after the service, and she said, thank you for reminding me of the gospel. I so need to hear the gospel. It's what motivates the Christian life. It's what empowers the Christian life. It's where I find my identity. It's where I find my hope. It's where I find my courage. It's all that I have. Thanks for celebrating the gospel. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we'll have with communion. Man, you guys can come on out. We're going to join in communion. We're going to join back in worship. During this time, we're always trying to figure out how to do this stuff better, how to love and serve you better. We just recognize that often we have people who come and they just need somebody to pray for them, to love them. Maybe it's to talk about the message. Maybe it's to talk about something going on in your life. Maybe it's to talk about the brokenness and dysfunction of your family that you need some support with. All right, so as we take communion, we're going to have a few individuals scattered out. I don't know exactly where they'll be, near the communion tables, just to pray with you. If you'd like somebody to pray for you, you can kind of skirt off into the corner a little bit or in the back or whatever, just to pray together.